That small bottle sitting on your shelf, the one that cost you $300, maybe $500, maybe even more than that. Here's something that might genuinely surprise you. The actual liquid inside that bottle almost certainly did not cost anywhere near that much to make. Not even close. Today, I want to walk you through what luxury perfume houses generally don't advertise, the real ingredients, the real costs, the real business decisions happening quietly behind that beautiful glass bottle. Some of what I'm about to show you is genuinely fascinating. Some of it is a little strange. And by the time we're done, I think you're going to look at your own perfume collection a little differently. Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you love luxury, if you love perfume, if you've ever caught yourself wondering, why does this one bottle cost so much more than that one? This video is exactly for you. We're going deep into the world behind perfume houses today, the old French fragrance houses with centuries of history, the billion-dollar modern brands, and the surprisingly small group of people actually creating the scents themselves, working quietly behind the scenes. Stick around until the end, because the last secret we cover is genuinely one most people never think about, and once you know it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. Secret 1. The price isn't really about the ingredients. Here's something that surprises a lot of people the first time they hear it. The actual liquid fragrance sitting inside a luxury perfume bottle often costs a genuinely small amount to produce, sometimes just a few dollars worth of raw materials for an entire bottle, depending on the formula. So if that's true, where does the rest of that $300 price tag actually go? A large portion goes toward marketing campaigns, celebrity endorsements, elaborate packaging, heavy glass bottles designed to feel substantial in your hand, and store rent on expensive shopping streets in cities like Paris or New York. When you buy a luxury perfume, you're not really only paying for a scent. You're paying for an entire experience built around that scent, the story the brand has spent years constructing around it. Think about it honestly for a second. Why is the bottle so heavy? Why does the box feel so sturdy and premium in your hands? Why does the advertisement show a beautiful person standing somewhere impossibly glamorous? None of that is really about the smell itself. It's about the feeling the brand wants you to associate with owning that bottle. I want to be fair here though, because this isn't really deception in any sinister sense. It's simply smart, deliberate branding. And it genuinely works, because most of us aren't only shopping for a nice smell. We're shopping for a feeling, a small piece of a lifestyle or an identity we want to feel closer to, even if just for a moment, when we spray it on in the morning. Secret 2. The people actually making the scent. Now let's talk about the people who are actually responsible for creating that smell in the first place. In the fragrance industry, these people are often called noses. In French, the word is le nez. These are professional master perfumers, and here's the part that genuinely surprised me while researching this. Estimates on exactly how many exist worldwide vary quite a bit, depending on the source you look at. Some industry sources put the number of truly elite, globally recognized noses at around 50. Others, counting a broader group of trained professional perfumers working across the entire industry, put the number at under 600 worldwide. Either way you look at it, this is an extraordinarily small group of people compared to almost any other creative profession you could name. Becoming one of these professionals isn't quick or easy either. It generally takes somewhere between 5 and 10 years of intense, focused training. Some study at specialized perfume schools, mostly located in France. Others train for years directly inside an established perfume house, learning under a senior perfumer, gradually memorizing thousands of individual raw materials until they can identify each one accurately, sometimes even while blindfolded, purely by scent alone. Some sources suggest a well-trained nose can eventually recognize somewhere between 1,500 and 5,000 distinct raw materials from memory, which is genuinely an enormous mental library to build and maintain over an entire career. These professionals develop skills that can feel almost like a party trick, except it's actually serious, valuable expertise. Give an experienced nose an unfamiliar perfume, and many can accurately identify a surprising number of its actual ingredients within just minutes of smelling it, essentially reverse engineering a formula through scent alone, the same way a trained musician might pick out individual instruments within a complex piece of music. And here's a detail that genuinely surprised me. Most of these noses don't actually work directly for the famous luxury fashion houses whose names end up on the final bottle. Instead, they're employed by a small handful of massive fragrance and flavor companies that most regular people have never heard of, names like IFF, Givaudan, or Firmenich. These companies create the actual scent formula behind the scenes, sometimes competing against each other in formal pitch competitions to win a contract with a luxury brand. Once a formula is chosen and approved, the luxury brand takes that scent, puts their own name and packaging around it, and presents it to the world as their own creation. So in a lot of cases, when you buy a secret formula perfume from a famous designer name, that scent may have actually been developed inside an industrial fragrance laboratory by a company you've genuinely never heard of, located nowhere near an actual fashion runway or design studio. Secret 3. The strange and expensive ingredients. Let's talk about what's actually inside some of these bottles, because a few of these ingredients genuinely sound made up. They're not. Ambergris. This one is a genuinely unusual natural material. Ambergris forms inside the digestive system of sperm whales, and it sometimes eventually washes up on beaches after floating in the ocean for years. Occasionally, even decades. Freshly formed, it actually smells quite unpleasant. But after aging in sunlight and salt water over a long period of time, it slowly develops a soft, sweet, complex, ocean-like scent that perfumers have historically prized highly. Genuine, naturally found ambergris is extremely rare, and pieces discovered on beaches have reportedly sold for tens of thousands of dollars in some documented cases. Most modern perfumes now use a lab-created substitute instead of the real material, partly due to cost, and partly due to ethical and environmental sourcing concerns. But the legend surrounding real ambergris still adds a layer of mystery to how people talk about luxury perfume today. Oud. Oud comes from a specific type of tree found in Southeast Asia. When this particular tree becomes infected with a certain type of mold, it produces a dark, dense, richly scented resin inside its wood as a natural defense response. Only a relatively small percentage of these trees ever naturally produce genuine oud resin on their own, which is exactly why it's often nicknamed liquid gold within the fragrance world. High-quality, genuinely wild-harvested oud oil can cost more per ounce than gold itself, and much of the oud used in mainstream luxury perfumes today actually comes from farmed or plantation-grown sources instead, which is considerably more affordable and sustainable, though often considered slightly less complex by trained perfumers compared to rare wild oud. Orris root. This one might genuinely surprise you, because it comes from something as ordinary sounding as the iris flower. But here's the catch. After the roots are harvested, they have to be dried and carefully aged for somewhere between 3 and 5 full years before they're actually usable in perfumery. 3 to 5 years simply sitting in storage, slowly developing their characteristic scent, before processing can even begin. That extraordinarily long, labor-intensive waiting period is exactly why orris butter consistently ranks as one of the most expensive natural raw materials in the entire fragrance industry, in some cases reportedly costing more per kilogram than gold. So yes, some genuine perfume ingredients really are rare, really are strange in their origin story, and really do take years of preparation before they ever reach a finished bottle. But it's worth remembering what we talked about earlier too. Most modern luxury perfumes only use a relatively small amount of these expensive natural materials, carefully blended together with more affordable synthetic materials, which helps keep overall production costs manageable, while still allowing the brand to genuinely, truthfully talk about rare natural ingredients in their marketing. Secret 4. The formula is a legal secret, not a legal patent. Here's something that genuinely surprises a lot of people once they learn how this actually works. Perfume formulas are almost never protected through a patent. Why not? Because filing a patent legally requires publicly disclosing exactly how something works, in detailed written form. And once that information becomes public record, competitors can legally study it and build their own version around it. So instead of patenting their formulas, perfume houses generally protect them the same general way a company like Coca-Cola protects its soda recipe, by treating the formula as a strictly guarded trade secret instead. This means the complete, exact formula is kept locked away internally, and in some houses, only a small handful of people across the entire company ever know the full recipe from start to finish. Sometimes the knowledge is even deliberately split between multiple people, specifically so that no single individual ever holds the complete picture on their own. Some historic perfume formulas are genuinely kept in secure physical vaults, similar in concept to how a bank protects valuable documents. This is actually part of why certain perfume houses have been able to sell essentially the same iconic scent for over 100 years, while competitors, despite plenty of trying, still can't produce an exact identical copy. They can often get impressively close, They can create something genuinely similar in character. But the true, complete original formula generally stays locked away, generation after generation, protected by secrecy rather than by any patent or formal legal filing. This is honestly one of the more overlooked realities of the entire luxury fragrance industry. And most everyday customers have no real idea that this is how formula protection actually works behind the scenes. Secret 5. Your own skin changes the perfume. Here's a secret that isn't really about the brand at all. This one is genuinely about you. The exact same perfume can smell noticeably different from one person to the next. Why does that happen? Because your individual skin carries its own natural chemistry. Your skin's pH level, your natural oil production, and even small everyday factors like what you've recently eaten can all subtly interact with a perfume's formula and slightly change how it ultimately smells once it's actually on your skin compared to how it smelled straight out of the bottle. If this video genuinely opened your eyes a little, hit that like button. It really does help this channel grow and reach more people who'd enjoy this kind of honest breakdown. And subscribe if you're new here, because next time we're going even deeper. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.